The US government is currently doing their damnedest to protect and enable pedophilia. And this actually isn't connected to the Epstein files, right? There have been growing concerns around the world surrounding AI-generated sexual images of people, especially with children. And front and center of this very important conversation has been Grok AI, especially after it began allowing users to edit images with text prompts back in late December. A move that, shocker, led to a flood of non-consensual AI-generated photos of women in their underwear on X, as well as sexual images of children. Right? And you've been seeing more and more people speaking out, including popular creators like Twitch streamer Sweet Anita, saying, as an onlooker and a target of the Grok bikini trend, I can't help but feel as though our bodies are being used to bolster usage statistics just to impress investors, all while we pay the price. And saying these deepfakes of unclothed women and children, they're still getting posted every single second. I don't know how the people running X could in good conscience choose to profit from that. At this point, it looks so intentional to me. I'm disgusted. It makes me sick that Twitter has been turned into such a dark place. Right? And in response to this backlash, you saw XAI saying two big things. One, they promised to take action against any images generated of children. And two, they limited image generation and editing to paying subscribers. So seemingly, A, they're fine with non-consensual images of just anyone else as long as they're not children. And B, you can still use the tools, but you have to give them money. They are actively trying to monetize from this scandal around children, which is why for many, whether it be Sweet Anita or international leaders, this was nowhere near good enough. In fact, this whole thing, it led to Grok access being blocked in Indonesia and Malaysia, with Indonesia's Minister of Communications and Digital Affairs saying in a statement, the government views the practice of non-consensual sexual deepfakes as a serious violation of human rights, dignity, and the security of citizens in the digital space. Leaders in the UK are also concerned, with Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer's spokesperson saying that just limiting image generation to subscribers is, quote, not a solution and is insulting to victims of sexual violence. With the UK's communications watchdog Ofcom launching an investigation into X itself. And specifically, they're investigating whether X has failed to comply with the UK's Online Safety Act, which requires platforms to keep users safe from illegal content online. And there you had UK Technology Secretary Liz Kendall saying, it is vital that Ofcom complete this investigation swiftly because the public and, most importantly, the victims will not accept any delay. And if Ofcom determines that X did break the law, they can force the platform to take steps to get into compliance or remedy any harm they've caused, as well as potentially imposing fines, or maybe even getting a court order to block X from functioning in the UK. But you see, the Trump administration, they've taken issue with the international threats against X and Grok. You've got the State Department's Sarah Rogers accusing the British government of wanting the ability to curate a public square to suppress political viewpoints that it dislikes, adding, let's wait and see what Ofcom does, and we'll see what America does in response, saying nothing is off the table when it comes to free speech. And actually, in the House of Commons, you had Kendall pushing back against the State Department's accusations, saying, this is not, as some would claim, about restricting freedom of speech, which is something that I and the whole government hold very dear. It is about tackling violence against women and girls. It is about upholding basic British values of decency and respect and ensuring that the standards that we expect offline are upheld online. It's about exercising our sovereign power and responsibility to uphold the laws of this land. But all of this, it's not just about social media platforms that lean right these days. It's the Trump administration being all in on Grok. Or you've now got Secretary of War Crimes Pete Hegseth announcing that Grok's going to be operating inside of the Pentagon network along with Google's generative AI engine. With Hegseth saying, very soon we will have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department. And somehow it's even more concerning than that sounds. Right, in a speech about this, Hegseth went on to say that his vision for AI military systems means that they operate, quote, without ideological constraints that limit lawful military applications. With him then adding that the Pentagon's AI will not be woke. That is a direct quote. But also, on an international scale, the risk of social media, it goes beyond Grok or even just AI. Back in December, Australia's new law requiring social media companies to stop kids under 16 from having accounts on their platforms went into effect. And that's resulted in Meta alone reportedly blocking more than 500,000 accounts on their platforms, including some 300,000 Instagram accounts and 170,000 Facebook accounts. But also with this, in a new blog post, you had Meta pushing back hard, saying, we call on the Australian government to engage with the industry constructively to find a better way forward, such as incentivizing all of industry to raise the standard in providing safe, privacy-preserving, age-appropriate experiences online instead of blanket bans. And again, making the argument that age verification should happen at the App Store, saying that it's the only way to ensure, quote, consistent industry-wide protections for young people. And this law, from the very beginning to its passing now, it's been closely watched by several governments. That includes the entirety of the EU, as well as just the state of Florida, because this is the most firm set of restrictions that we've seen on teenage social media so far. In this policy, there's no exemption for parental approval. Either you can or you can't have an account. Though, also unsurprisingly, we've already seen teenagers finding workarounds like using platforms that aren't banned yet, or using their parents' accounts, or even using a VPN. Right? And you're even seeing things like Reddit arguing in their lawsuit that the law is just ineffective, and adding that it will isolate teens from the ability to engage in age-appropriate community experiences.